And away we go. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the College Football Mafia Network Big Freaking Friday Show. We've got, I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown. With me are my co-hosts and partners and everything we do here. That'd be Wild Ute and Moen. How we doing tonight?
Hey, what's up?
Doing good.
I got distracted by Moen's hair there at the beginning. So I hope everybody's having a good Friday. It's been a long week. I think everybody's ready for football on this weekend. So this will be a fun show to sort of go over the picks that we've got and preview some of the best matchups that we're working on. We're also going to talk a little news. Nothing really hard hitting. There's no final announcement on Pac-12 yet, but hopefully it's coming. And then, of course, all the trickle down that will come after that. So we appreciate everybody being here with us tonight. Make sure you follow all of us on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. That subscription is really important to us. We're trying to get those numbers up as much as we can. And then, of course, turn on your notifications. That way you know when when our tweets and our shows are on YouTube. Turn on your notifications on both Twitter and on YouTube, and you'll know when we're around. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. Moen, why don't you tell everybody how they become members of the College Football Mafia Network?
Well, you can become a member of the College Football Mafia Network, ladies and gentlemen, by selecting that little cash icon in the chat window. From there, you can become a member, leave a super chat, leave a super sticker, or if you're feeling generous, you can gift a membership to the community using the membership gifting option.
That was pretty professional. Did you hear that too, Ute? That was very Casey Kasem.
Oh my gosh, Moen, fantastic.
Blow us away, absolutely. All right, so it's been a big week. A lot of news off the football field, but we're coming to a weekend where there's some big games. What are some of your thoughts going into this weekend, Ute?
Oh my gosh, huge games. Utah, Oklahoma State, Tennessee, OU. Some of the biggest ones. K-State going to BYU. Late night game. It's going to be an absolute dogfight. We're going to talk more about, but it's just the games are really popping right in our face. You know, these conference games, boom, right here, ready to go. And I can't wait to see some of these games, how they play out. Are the contenders, or are they pretenders? Right. We'll find out this weekend, won't we?
It is a put up or shut up weekend. There's no doubt about that. How about back east, Moen? What's the Big Ten and everything else? What's the big to do out there with your rivalry games this weekend?
It's new rivalry weekend. We've got USC against Michigan.
Okay.
We've got Tennessee at Oklahoma. And we've got Utah at Oklahoma State and Kansas State at BYU. We're getting into the new rivalries. Everybody's getting to know each other, getting to hate each other. I encourage all the USC people to hate Michigan as much as we do.
Yeah, I don't think that's hard to do. I think most people hate Michigan, or they're jealous, or they're both, one or the other. But yeah, USC's new to the party. Obviously, Oklahoma in the SEC. The Pac-12 has disintegrated and been reborn. But here's Utah sitting in Oklahoma State's backyard. And what's the latest on Cam Rising, Ute?
Cam Rising's playing. He is.
Is he?
There's a rumor that came out a couple days ago from an Oklahoma State radio station.
Right.
That Rising, they had intel that Rising's knee had been re-aggravated.
Okay.
At some time over maybe this week or the past couple weeks, and it wasn't the finger. It was a knee injury. And so that seems to have caused the betting line to move 4 points after that information came out. It's weird, guys. Like today, that betting line moved back in Utah's favor. Utah's a 1-point favorite at the moment. It's just fluid. It's moving back and forth. This is crazy. It might be a pick'em, straight pick'em by game time. I don't know where the late money's going to go tonight, tomorrow morning, but it's wild going on right now. Rising's playing, though. He's going to play.
I think that'll be a much better matchup than maybe people might have assumed if Rising wasn't going to be in the game. So I'm really looking forward to everybody being full strength. Let's have a really strong representation going for Big 12 weekend. Obviously, BYU and KSU, that's going to be a big game. We really have to take a back seat to that OSU UAU matchup, I think. Moen, you're on the third party looking outside in. What do you think about this U of U and OSU matchup?
I like Oklahoma State to come in there. They're in Stillwater. It's at home. Utah's right. It's a pick 'em at any point. It was 1.5. It's a point spread. I saw 1.5 favoring Oklahoma State. It's a pick 'em. It just depends on who you're getting your book through. it's a pick 'em, guys. So whoever you think is going to win, pick that team.
I love it. I love the pick'em games. That means they're toss up, and most people will be watching. This should have a big number. Should be well over 2 million people watching that game, and hopefully the matchup turns out as good as it as we think it should. The one thing we wouldn't want is some crazy blowout where people turn off their TVs halfway through. So we really want this game to be a strong one. I don't see any reason why it won't be.
Well, I see a big reason why it won't be.
Why's that?
It's going up against USC at Michigan.
USC and Michigan's on at the same time?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Oh, great.
They're both 3:30 games, right? That's what time the Utah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
PBS. Yep.
I would say they're a little bit different audiences, though. I think there is a possibility that you might get a few more people watching the Oklahoma State University Utah game than normally would, just because there's a big divergence in who's watching these games now. The Big Ten has socked away some of the best brands out there, and then there's everybody else. And so I think there's an opportunity for the Big 12 to really do well, especially if it's a good game. I don't think there's anything against
I'll tell you what, screw Big Noon on Fox. Screw Big Noon on Fox. Like, that totally screws this game and the ratings on this game. And Mo's smiling down there, but Marshall and Ohio State getting Big Noon.
Big joke.
Seriously, like,
guarantee you Ohio State versus Marshall pulls a bigger number.
Well, I guarantee you that too. But give us a chance, right? Don't just throw us up versus Michigan USC.
Hey, you know the famous saying, "You're financially analyst. Money talks, and what walks."
Yeah, that's true. Doesn't mean we have to be happy about it, though, Moen. I mean, at the end of the day, we can seriously. I think we have a good basis to complain about that too. Who knows in a few weeks what the next big matchup will be, but the ratings monsters in the SEC and the Big Ten are just extremely difficult to fight against. So
the number's not going to be nearly as good going up against Michigan, USC. Target for a 2.2 million or more. That's probably the target.
I would agree with that. I didn't realize they were head to head. So thanks for bringing that up, Mona. I really appreciate it. Let's do some shout outs before we get to a couple news items. Then we're going to get right to the games. First one in the house, Stormy Cyclone. Oh, says second. I'm not sure who was first. Moen was first. He doesn't count. Stormy Cyclone was first. Good to have you here, Stormy. Laura Weiss checking in, Texas Tech. I'm not sure who they're playing this weekend, but Laura was third. Joaquin Morales says, pound that like button. Hey, Mo and Rock and Rant and College Football Mafia, smash that like button, folks. Ute and I don't get shout outs. What's up with that?
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm teasing.
We're Big 12 foes. It's big.
Not worried about it. Not worried about it. Ryan Willie, good to see you, Ryan. Hi, College Football Mafia. Good to see you, man. Bo Weevil checking in says, hello all from the beautiful Piedmont of the great state of South Carolina. I don't know where that's at. Do you know where that's at, Moen?
Yeah, it's in South Carolina.
I know, but have you been there?
No.
Okay.
You asked me if I knew where it was, and it's in South Carolina.
All right. You don't actually know. You're just repeating what he said anyway.
High probability.
Okay. Bo Weevil says, go Clemson. Good to have you here. Well, I don't know. Clemson. Boy, Clemson, Florida State got to start winning some games. That's all I can say. Antoine Codes, hello, College Football Mafia family. Good to see you. Illini Ted checking in. Probably won't be around tonight prepping for the big game, but I'll watch later. Have a great show. Thank you, Illini Ted. We really appreciate it. And thank you, your membership. Being a loyal member, we really appreciate you a ton for doing that. Daniel Gygax, good to see you here, Daniel. Daniel was a participant in the Pac-12 show we had on Wednesday. That was a lot of fun. Good to have you here tonight, Daniel. Appreciate it. Daniel Kopcha checking in says, I guess we got a big freaking Friday Fun Fest going on shortly. Yes, we do. That would be us. Caleb Ramirez checking in always for Ohio State, saying hi, everyone. Good to see you, Caleb. Skaven, yes, sorry. Hello, gentlemen. GBR, what's that? Go big.
Go red.
Big red.
Okay, all right. I'm starting to figure it out. Joaquin Morales also says, hey, Antoine Codes. Got these ASU guys checking in back and forth. Good to see Antoine Codes as well. Let's see. I'm going to mark that one for later. Here's the one from Stormy Cyclone. Ute looks nervous. I wonder why. Are you nervous, Ute?
You know what? I just don't know what to expect. Like, it's a weird game with the line moving like it is. Like, I freaked out a couple days ago because I thought the Rising thing was going to happen. He wasn't going to play. So I had a mini meltdown. I think that Poke fans kind of got to me a little bit in my head. So it's been an up and down week and everything. Look, I still think Utah, if Rising plays, wins by 10 points. I do. If Rising doesn't play or gets hurt, Utah's not going to win this game.
I'm going to give you my breakdown as we go through the games, but yeah, I think as Rising goes, so does Utah. I think that's going to be all season. But we knew that, right? That wasn't a surprise. We thought the same thing last year if Rising would have played. The team will go as well as he plays. There's no doubt about it. But there's nobody should be overlooking Isaac Wilson. Kid's going to be good. He's going to be great, and it's just going to take some time. Those Big 12 defenses are no joke. I know that. Brasco Rascal checking in says, "Go Big Red." We got corn, we got a skull and a football and a strong arm.
Nice. I like it.
I was able to get all of them. Thank you.
Wasn't like the old black shirts like for Nebraska? Didn't they have like the skulls and everything?
Right.
That's cool.
Black shirt defense.
That was a great – is that still going? That was a great tradition back in the day.
I know Scott Frost had brought it back at one point. I still believe they have to earn their black shirts.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see. They're getting better every week. They seem to be showing out a little bit better. KZU says, "Ute, get mowing good."
see, mowing, seriously, this Big Noon stuff. Big Noon has turned into an Ohio State pregame show. Like, how many times is Big Noon at Ohio State? I get the ratings. I get it. Look, if I'm working for Fox, I'm recommending the same stuff. But on the other side, I'm not working for Fox right now. And it sucks. It's like, give Oklahoma State, give Utah running that it deserves. Or K-State and BYU. I don't give a crap. Just give a Big 12
Fox
game.
has to take the best Big 10 game at noon. That's the best Big 10 game. They've got the you've got the 3:30 slot on Fox. I mean, you've got national broadcast. I don't know why you're worried about it. You're just going to have to go up against CBS's national broadcast of USC at Michigan.
Which, again, I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out because Michigan isn't very good this year. So we'll have to see what that number is.
Big names, big brands.
It's
That's
true.
going to get a monster.
I agree with you. Iowa State, Muggy Wow checking in. Good to see you, Muggy Wow. Obviously checking in. I appreciate that. Vox Kindaro, I'm late and I'm not going to say the F, but that's okay. You're not too late, Vox. Good to have you here. Tony Lawson, 3 million viewers from Nebraska, Illinois, over under. Moen.
Is that on Big Fox tonight?
That's on Fox tonight. That's on Fox. It's a national game.
Ooh, that's going to really get close, Tony. Like really close here. I would say like the high 2s probably, but it could breach the 3 million.
Man, these Friday games are starting to become a thing now. It was just a sideshow, and now it's actually becoming a weekly deal. It'll be interesting to see what that number is. Daniel Gygax says, and thank you for having me on. You're welcome, Daniel. It's always great to see you. A couple more here. Stormy Cyclone, you know I'm just funding you.
Guys, I took it a lot from Big 12 fans this week. So, hey, get the shots in. Oklahoma State fans seriously had me going. They had Ute going because this Cam Rising stuff, it freaked me out, guys. What the heck, Rising? How can Rising's even be mentioned again? Moen's making jokes before the season that he's not going to play a game. Look, okay, I'll just be honest with you guys. Rising right now has played 2 quarters of football.
Right.
That's it. Like, seriously. Like,
we warned you, though.
2 quarters. So, actually, we'll add it up. 3.5 quarters of football this season. Isaac Wilson's played double the football over the last 2 seasons than Cam Rising. That's freaking me out.
But I told you last year, he's an injury-prone guy. There's nothing.
How can you be so injury-prone? Oh,
I don't know what's going on up there.
There are silver linings here. I can't wait to watch Cam Rising with my grandkids.
Okay, let me ask you this question, guys. Like, okay, so if Cam Rising is indeed, say he doesn't play tomorrow, and say he's out for the next couple of weeks,
and I think that's a possibility.
Like, at what point do you just say Isaac Wilson's played so many games, he's going to be the quarterback of the future? What time? When do you just say, Isaac is your team?
Well, let me ask you. I'll ask you the same question back because at the beginning of the season, I asked you if Cam Rising could get an 8th red shirt or whatever it was, would you want him back next year if he wasn't able to play this whole year? And you said yes, you would want him back. So is you changing your mind now? Because in my opinion, you guys your team is stacked. Every other position's loaded. In my opinion, I think you ought to just go with Isaac Wilson because I think you've got just as much ability to win with him as you do an oft-injured Cam Rising.
It's a roller coaster ride every freaking week as a Ute fan, just to see if your starting quarterback's going to play. In the regular season, it's hard to make that call. In the offseason, I'm going to be like, yeah, bring Rising back. Okay. Yeah, baby, let's do it. Okay. But I don't know, guys, right now, man, I'm up and down. So this game's got me a little nervous, I guess.
All right, we'll find out. I know this. It's hard to win in Stillwater. That's all I'm saying. Voxine Darrow checking in and correcting us. Black shirt tradition gets yanked back and forth off and on by every Nubs head coach since Osborne. Maybe I ought to retire it, for a generation or something, and then bring it back when it really matters. I don't know what else to say about that. Clint Moses, one of our Oregon State Beaver fans. Good to have you here, Clint. Big 12 fans burnt about Big Noon team selection. Without Sooners, Fox isn't looking at the 12.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with stats.
Except Fox has them on at 3:30.
They will continue to.
And they're alternating the Friday night games. Big 12 got Friday night to itself last week.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Big 12 is going to get whatever it's
like the feature, like the pregame show, Big Noon kickoff. That's what we're talking about. Like that's like where like all the focus is. That's where the parades are and everything. When game day and Big Noon come, it's a big deal. And they're just going to the SEC and the Big 10. Like, give me a freaking break. Like Ohio State Marshall. Yeah. Really? Like that's about the worst game on the docket for the Buckeyes.
But it's about eyeballs, It's hard to argue. They're making money.
Urban Meyer's going to come out on stage and get cheered like a conquering hero.
I would not put anything past Urban Meyer. He's got free passes for anything he wants at Ohio State. Stormy Cyclone, last comment here, and then we'll start getting into a few things, news, and then our picks. 30-30 show on Cam Rising, 30 years or 30 injuries, whichever comes first. I think 30 injuries is probably going to beat before 30 years. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I can't really laugh it off too much. Does Cam Rising ever get to the playoffs with the Utes? Tell me this, guys.
No, I think he gets hurt. No.
Here's the 30 for 30, though. What if I told you a 39-year-old quarterback led his college football team to the playoffs?
Sign me up.
It's possible. All right. It's possible. Look, we have at least I don't. I respect Cam Rising. He's a great competitor. Just because he's at Utah just gives you that little bit of animus against him. But you have to respect his game. But my hell, he just cannot stay out of the MASH unit. And I said at the beginning of last year, but he's coming back. He's gone. Kyle Whittingham strung along an entire fan base for a year. And I'm seeing the same stuff again. The thing with the fingers, what the hell is he doing running to get 1 yard? It makes no sense. Fall on the ground. Every Ute fan should be yelling at him to fall on the ground if he can't throw it. I just don't understand that. And if he can't coach it in him, and he's not going to change his attitude, there's no way he sees his season out.
You're right about that play, 100%. There's no way he should have took that hit. Just throw the ball away. 100%. You're right about it. He's got to be smarter. But when he's on the field, like this Ute team's like a Superman.
I agree with you.
The kryptonite, right?
So maybe you only bring him out for like the games that you're an even.
Oklahoma State, baby.
Anybody that's 9 or 10 points, you don't play him.
Yeah, that might happen.
Yeah,
just cryogenically freeze him at the end of the season.
Yeah, or just go between weeks.
Yeah. For big games.
Just go from week to week, depending on who the competitor
I wonder how much NIL money it would take to freeze Rising for next year.
Not much at this point. He's already half frozen. So, all right, let's get to a couple news items here, and then we're going to jump right into our picks. I want to jump into this. This was an update. I don't know, OS Beaver, who I really respect as a tweeter, and he seems to have a lot of good ideas. I'm not sure how much of this is backed up by information. If there's, like Clint Moses, if there's a link that you can give me that actually shows for sure this is true, I'd like to see it, but I'm going to read it anyway because it is an interesting thought that I've never even heard of in my life. He says, this is talking about the Pac-12, deal is very close to bringing the AAC4. That would be Memphis, Tulane, USF, and UTSA. Oh, by the way, those are the ones I picked the day it was announced that the Pac-12 was reforming. To the Pac-12 by agreeing to not decimate the Mountain West Conference with loss of UNLV. So in other words, leave UNLV alone in the Mountain West. The exit fees will be reduced by the Mountain West for the schools that are leaving, the other four, and go to pay most of the AAC4 fees. Most fans think 10 is the perfect number of teams to begin play in 2026. Now, I don't know if you guys saw my show on Wednesday night. It was really good, actually. It went really well. I had Bill Farley on, and we had a long conversation with Terrell, and I'm trying to remember who the other Oregon State fan was. I know I'm going to remember. I'll bring it up. But we had a long discussion about what the next steps are for the Pac-12, right? And who they should chase and what should be the most important thing they're going for. What do you guys think about this idea, this 10? The 6 that have already announced, and then the 4 coming out of the AAC, and then stop. It makes travel kind of tough for USF. Yeah. They're on the other side of the country. But, I mean, they do draw numbers. People watch these guys play football. What do you think?
I think that it's not going to work because of the travel issue. I think that in a perfect world without travel, this is the 10. To maximize the TV revenues, no doubt about it. Like this is the 10 you want,
right?
But you need to get to 12 and create divisions for travel. You have to do it, because USF's going to be traveling cross country for every game, and we're talking about outside of football, what's the implications for Olympic sports? It's huge.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Mo, and what do you think?
There is no validity to this whatsoever. The Mountain West is not going to take a pay cut just to keep UNLV. They want that money. And I don't know that Memphis is ready to join.
Well,
Memphis is the strongest position of any of these schools.
Actually, it turns out that from all official reports I've seen, Memphis is the hinge at this point.
Yeah. They've got the strongest
Memphis
position.
Doesn't come, the other 2 don't come.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't Memphis want to join?
I think
they have the Americans lifting that program so much.
We'll talk a little bit about the ACC a little later, but I think unless there's an escape clause, Memphis is probably one of the prime candidates to backfill the ACC. Same with USF.
Sure.
Yeah, but how long are you going to wait on that? They've already strung them along.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Are they going to give them a $0 escape clause from this Pac-12?
I don't think it should matter. Going to the ACC is a whole different payout structure than staying in the Pac-12. It's like double the money.
We don't know who's going to be left in the ACC.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I'm saying if you give them a zero, if you're that, give all 3 of those teams a $0 out clause.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, so
nobody gets that, and nobody who's ever moved ever is going to get a 0 out to leave a conference. I can see where it's a reduced amount. I can see where
USC got a 0 out.
Well, USC got theirs paid by Fox. Yeah. They didn't get 0 out. Let's be very clear. It wasn't free. Fox paid for it.
No, there wasn't a buyout for USC. Their grant of rights was over.
Oh, so wait, I wasn't thinking
0 out clause for everybody, right?
Right. I was thinking of somebody else. I apologize. You're right. They didn't have to pay. Oklahoma, Texas is who I'm thinking of.
Yes,
Fox
they paid to get out a year early.
Yeah, I knew there was somebody that had to pay. I just got USC and Oklahoma and Texas mixed up. But regardless, that money, like you said about possibly leaving UNLV in the Mountain West, they're not going to give that money up unless they absolutely have to. The Pac-12 would be idiots to give anybody a 0 out. They don't need them.
That might be what it takes to get Memphis, and I don't think USF's on board unless Memphis and Tulane come along.
I think it's all 3 of them, but right now it's Memphis that is the hinge, and that may be true. But I think the Pac-12 was ready to move forward without them anyway.
There's a lot there, guys. Like TV partners, are they going to sign on if there's a 0 out for one? I doubt it.
Again, I don't think so.
Long-term stability, but if you can hedge that, if you can hedge that and get the TV money you want, that might be like the most brilliant stroke by Oregon State and Wazoo ever. If you can have a 0 out for everybody, because guess what? If the ACC ruptures, guess who they're going to be calling? Oregon State and Wazoo too, and you leave the conference as well.
That's right, and that's kind of what I think they do. I think they go regardless of what the buyout is. They go regardless because they're going to a power conference right now. They don't have to wait. They don't have to build anything. So the buyout thing, I think it's a red herring. That may be what they're talking about, but if Memphis doesn't go, I don't think it's because they don't get a 0 out to the ACC. I think they're thinking long term. They don't want the travel because it's a ton of travel, guys.
Yeah.
So again, they may be obviously they're intertwined, but if I had to go with one reason why the 3 schools don't move, it's because the travel they can't unless if I was the Pac-12, and I mentioned this on Wednesday, I might have even mentioned Tuesday night. If I was the Pac-12, I'd offer to subsidize these schools with travel expenses for a few years.
I think you'd be better off just finding 3 schools to join with them in the East.
Oh, you mean to go with them as well?
Yes, I think you would want 6 teams on each coast.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think that's right too. I think 2 in Texas, 6 on each coast. That's what I would do. Or at least Memphis and
I would give you
and
Rice
Tulane
in
or
Texas, but I think
I don't care who the Texas
yeah,
schools are.
yeah.
It doesn't matter who the school. I just know 2 in Texas. Anyway, so it's interesting. It's still going out there. There's a lot of people that are interested. You want to say something else? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just looking here at the list of American Conference teams, right? Like we're talking about a conference in the Pac with Wazoo, Oregon State, Boise State, San Diego State, like really good brands, right?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, I'm looking at the American. You got Florida Atlantic, you got Rice, North Texas, Tulsa, you got East Carolina, Temple. Like, do you really pass on an opportunity to be playing Oregon State, Wazoo, and Boise State? Like when playing these guys, I don't know. I think that you got to take that. If you're Memphis, I think you got to take it. If you're South Florida and Tulane, I think they will take it too.
I hope so. I hope so, because it'll be a fun conference to watch, and 12 teams, I think, would be better for travel, but they can make 10 work, I think. I know this, the rest of the schools in the AAC and the rest of the schools in the Mountain West, if this ends up happening, they're immediately going to be in danger zone for anybody watching them. Those conferences should probably merge or do something, break into divisions, but I don't see how they survive on their own. I don't get it.
Do you think this new conference, this new Pac-12 conference is going to be at the upper level of college sports? With the House, I mean, and we'll see what happens with the House settlement. There's a lot of uncertainty there. But with paying that baseline amount to be in the upper echelon, is this the last group of teams that's going to make that call upon this move? Because I'm just thinking in the future with even lower media deals, maybe after a rated American, they're probably not in, with the House settlement money and everything, major college sports. This might be the last move to get into the major college game right here with this Pac-12.
I agree with everything you just said. Yes, I do. Whatever the Pac-12 sits on, I think that's it. There's really the rest of them can move the deck chairs on the Titanic, but there's not enough gravitas, not enough brand value. You've already just mentioned to raise another conference up. I think it's the Pac-12, the Power 4, everybody else.
Well, then if you're Memphis, it's a no-brainer. You got to jump.
That's what. Well, I'm reading on Twitter, Memphis people are freaking out that they didn't just take it sight unseen. Right? They're upset with their administration. That why are you even asking questions? Of course, do this. They can see the future. They've seen what's happened in college football the last 4 years. People are getting pissed because they're afraid to get left out. And this whole carrot with the ACC, I think is a bunch of bunk. If the ACC
I will put it this way: you've got to trust the administration might have some semblance of an idea of something else going on. I appreciate the fandom, but maybe your administration isn't telling you everything. Very similar to what the Big 12 is doing with UConn. Maybe the Big 12 is also stringing Memphis along. Who knows?
My point is, I don't think it matters. I think you take whatever the invite is, and then whatever happens down the line, you're willing to jump. You're willing to pay the money with booster money to go to the other conference if you have an opportunity. Who says, between the three of us and anybody watching right now, who doesn't think if the ACC loses Florida State and Clemson, the first phone calls aren't going to be Washington State, Oregon State, Tulane, Memphis, USF, UConn? I mean, we know who these schools are. You think the ACC is just going to fold up and go away if they lose schools? Of course not. They're going to reform with more of these schools that are in these other conferences. What's to wait?
Again, you're adding travel costs. If you're looking at a media deal that's only going to be
15 million is what's being
okay.
rumored.
That's
12 to 15
proposed.
million. Yeah,
that's
12
proposed.
to 15 is what they're talking about.
Okay, and remember, this is coming from the PAC, who proposed that they were worth 55 million annually.
Well, 50, but
50, whatever.
I get what you're saying.
Don't
I think
trust
this is
projections. Don't trust projections. If you're looking at all the travel costs you're going to incur, all the stress you're going to put on your student athletes, how it's going to impact your recruiting, there's a lot of considerations you have. A lot of things you have to take under consideration, making a move of this, You're going from a more regional conference to a nationwide conference.
Let me ask you a different question. Is USF building a $350 million stadium to stay in the AAC?
It depends on what the AAC becomes, though.
But I'm saying there's nowhere for the AAC to go. That's my whole point. Who are they going to pull in? How are they going? It's a zero-sum game. If you go up, somebody else goes down.
Somebody else is going to go down.
Who is that?
I think whoever's left over at the end of this ACC implosion. I think if Boston College, Wake Forest is out there. But it's still
the ACC at that point.
They could. The AAC could get pulled into the ACC. And then you would want to be part of that AAC.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to agree
you're
not
have
really
to agree
to
disagree on this.
I don't see the AAC surviving.
I don't see the AAC.
I mean,
or
like,
the
you don't have
West.
the brands there, right? Like you've got a couple brands, and then they're about to get plucked from you from either the Pac-12 or the ACC in a future state.
Or even the Big 12 could pick more schools up if they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, if there's realignment events, like that require that.
I get what you're saying, Moen, and we can't agree to disagree. At the end of the day, these schools are going to do what's best for them. But we've seen this movie now a couple times.
I'm just saying, UConn's going to need a travel partner.
I don't even think.
Yeah, UConn's not getting into this.
I don't think UConn.
Is that what you're talking about, the ACC and UConn?
I'm talking about UConn getting into the Big 12.
UConn's not getting into the Big 12.
Happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
I know that you think that, but as Big 12 guys over here, UConn ain't coming to the Big 12.
I don't think so.
They're coming to the Big 12.
I think they've been played with. I think they've been toyed. If they wanted them, they could have gotten them 3 or 4 times up to now. Give me a reason why you'd pay $32 million a year to a school, doesn't have its own stadium, and can only generate maybe $8 or $9 million a year on basketball revenue alone. Why do you pay them another treble what they're currently making to be in a football conference? Where does that make sense at all?
New York City market, lots of business done in New York City. All-State wants to name your conference. Maybe All-State says, "Hey, we want to be in New York City."
Yeah.
Maybe we pay you to take Connecticut so we can get some in New York. Maybe your mark comes from the New York Brooklyn Nets.
We know that.
He's got New York connections. Maybe these connections are telling him, "Hey, we'll jump in with the Big 12 if you get us a New York market. We don't want your furthest eastmost market to be, West Virginia."
Yeah.
Okay. Don't trust projections.
Yeah, don't
trust projections.
Syracuse.
I don't know. UConn must be paying your Mark Direct or something here for this thing, because I don't get it at all. It makes no sense. Like, it won't make sense. There's not going to be a decoupling that's going to make basketball 10 times more.
Mark my words. After March Madness, the Big 12 and UConn will resume talks.
Just like they did.
Mark
2
my
years
words.
ago,
Utah will never sign for that. Utah will never sign on board for UConn.
This is so fun. I love having this conversation. Let's get to some football, though. FCS guy checking in, 6-month member. Thank you so much for being here, FCS guy. Finally, conference football. Yes, let's talk football. Let's get into that right now. Okay, Moen, I'm going to bring your picks up for. Well, wait a second. Do you want to do last week?
We got to do standings first.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you go.
Week 3 results: Bomber 3-5.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Wild Ute 5-3. Moen 3-5. Pickles 2-6.
Yikes.
Becky 3-5. Wow. Rock and Rant went 5-3.
Yeah, Rock and Rant's cheating or something.
Becky continues to lead the league 14-10. Everybody else is 13-11 except me. I'm 11-13 because of some voodoo that was pulled off with Arkansas and Oklahoma State.
Voodoo. Okay.
You know the probability of them covering that spread?
I don't know.
Minuscule.
I don't even want
voodoo back.
It was such a bad deal. That was such a bad deal. The whole week just needs to be thrown away. Can we just not use week 2? Because I was balling before week 2. All right. Anything else you want to gloat on this yet?
No, we can get this off here. I'm losing in this. I don't want to gloat on it.
Okay. All right. Really quick before we do, I want to get to a couple comments here because Clint Moses says, "Let Moen cook. Let him cook." I know you've been waiting for that.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said, let him Cook.
And then right now, here's another one from KZU says, Friday night Royal Rumble, Bomber and Wild
Are
Wheat
you
versus
ready
Moen.
to rumble?
This is what we're here for, guys. We love this. We look forward to this every week. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now we can get to our picks. Go ahead, Moen.
All right, we're starting off with tonight's game, Illinois at Nebraska. The spread is 9.5, or it was when we made these picks. Everybody took Nebraska except Pickles. Pickles is the lone Burt backer, and I think he might win that one because this just seems like a game Nebraska either loses or just barely wins by like a field goal. I came really close to taking Illinois, but I couldn't do it. Then we got Kansas at West Virginia.
Well, you don't want to break these down one at a time?
Well, we can.
Let's do them one at a time.
Let's talk about Nebraska.
Yeah, let's do them one at a time.
I think that we're underrating Nebraska a little bit right here. Raiola is a different breed of quarterback. He brings a different swagger to that team. It's a completely different Nebraska team than you've seen for many years. I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska blows out Illinois tonight at all. Like, this could get real ugly because Raiola is explosive, guys. Seriously explosive. At Nebraska on a short week, I'm really confident on that one. Nebraska's going to cover big.
Yeah, I think Nebraska is back. I said that after the first week of the season. I think them and Miami. Who was the third? There was a third. USC. All three blue bloods. All three, I think, are back. And Nebraska's going to show it tonight. Illinois is not a bad team, though. They played really well last week.
Yeah, they're a lot better than people give them credit.
I agree with that. I considered taking them, but I believe in Nebraska. I think Nebraska could be in the championship game for the Big Ten.
Here's my only fear. Burt is a very, very tough out. I can see Nebraska winning. My fear is them winning by 10 points.
That's fair.
I can see them winning by 3 or 7 or 8.
Right.
But they'll probably be leading by 8 and then miss like on a safety or something that would have because of the voodoo.
The voodoo. This is in Nebraska though, right?
Yeah, this is a Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, so. that's a tough get for Illinois.
Yeah, it'll be a sellout.
You can't play defense and win just using defense in Nebraska. I think if you were in Illinois, maybe the defense could just hold them down, but I think Raiola might go off tonight. 3-4 touchdowns, 280, 320 yards, something like that.
Okay, I will say this and just put this out there. Dylan Raiola has not actually faced a defense yet.
Okay, well,
True
we'll find
freshman,
out.
Could make a mistake, could throw a pick six, could be the difference.
I agree with that.
Even though I did pick Nebraska.
Really quick, before we do anything else, let me do a quick reset. Thanks for everybody being here tonight. It's Friday night. We do our pick'ems this evening. We appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you're following us all on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Turn on those notifications so you know when we're tweeting out news and information. Also, when our shows are on. So do that. Notifications on Twitter and on YouTube. And then last but not least, consider becoming a member of the College Football Mafia family. And if you're here tonight, means you're not doing something else, and we really, really appreciate that. Want everybody to know how much we appreciate it. We're here for you. Leave us comments, give us suggestions, send us notes on Twitter. We try to adjust to do things to make you guys happy. So hopefully tonight will be another one of those evenings. All right, Moen, go ahead. Let's do Kansas, West Virginia.
Kansas at West Virginia, and who has been the most disappointing Big 12 team this season?
Yes.
Both of these teams were picked as dark horses to potentially win the Big 12, and their out-of-conference play has clearly not lived up to expectations.
Yeah.
Kansas dropping a tough one to Nevada.
Yeah.
And West Virginia munsoning a 10-point lead with 5 minutes left to Pittsburgh.
Right.
So this is West Virginia. It's at Morgantown. West Virginia is favored by a field goal. I really hope West Virginia doesn't make me regret this because every time I've picked them this season, they have lost.
I would say the same thing about Kansas. Every time I picked either school, I've lost.
Yeah.
This was a coin flip for me. I'll be perfectly honest.
I took West Virginia. Somebody's got to win.
Yeah, that's true. Somebody does have to win. Ute, defend West Virginia.
Yeah, West Virginia, I think that they're going to get it done. I think they've had a couple tough games. That Pitt game was heartbreaking. They should have finished it out. They showed that they can actually get there, though, and they just need to learn how to finish this year. Look, they're 0-0 in conference play. So as bad as it feels, like they really are still in contention. They haven't lost a conference game. whoever wins this game could still be a conference contender. I'm serious, guys. This is kind of how this conference goes sometimes with the Big 12 historically. So I think West Virginia gets this done. It's going to be close, though. I could really see it be a 3-point game. Like it's 2.5. Like, so I'd take West Virginia, but it's going to be like a field goal. It's going to be a nail biter.
I took the points. That's essentially what I did. I just took the points and said, maybe we could win. I don't have any idea who's going to win this game. Kansas has so underplayed, and then West Virginia just got pummeled by Penn State and hasn't turned the corner. So I whoever wins, good on you. That's what I'm going to say. As far as challenging for the Big 12 this year, I find that highly likely.
I will agree with you. You cannot lose to a Mountain West team.
Yeah.
Or lose a 2-possession game with 5 minutes left and expect to be a conference champion.
West Virginia's schedule, Big 12 schedule, is difficult, but Kansas's Big 12 schedule is pretty soft. So if KU can win this game and escape, you never know. KU might be that one to turn it around, Leipold. But I still like West Virginia in this one, but watch KU if they get this one.
All right, next one then, Moen.
USC at Michigan. Nobody picked Michigan. So we all think USC is going to win, and they're going to win by 6 or more points. There's really nothing to this. Michigan has looked terrible. New quarterback in the rotation. Orji is now the starter. He offers a little more in the run game. We'll see if that's enough of a, change up to make Michigan a little more successful. But I think we've seen from USC this year that their defense is for real. And offensively, they can sling the ball. So I like USC in this one.
Seems like a bad matchup for Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't say
it's at Michigan, though, so that's a plus. But, yeah, I can't see Michigan win this game. Michigan's regressed big time, losing Harbaugh. Harbaugh is an absolute winner, guys. You see what he's doing in the pros. He's winning with the Chargers even. The guy's a proven winner. Sharon Moore. I don't know how good really that program's going to be in the future here. I think they're going to be kind of like it may be a top 5 Big Ten team, but not a top 2 Big Ten team. He's not the coach. I'm saying it right now. I just don't see him being the coach.
No. You're talking about Sharon Moore?
Yeah.
He's just a placeholder.
Yeah, they really probably need to make a coaching change here. Get another kind of Harbaugh candidate because it's not going to turn around. I mean, this is kind of what Michigan will be in the Sharon Moore era.
Didn't they need somebody to take all the heat? They needed a fall guy. Sharon Moore happened to be there. They promoted him. I don't think they did a coaching search. I don't think there was any time or energy put into that at all. They said, we're going to throw away 2024. I can see him in a back room right now smoking, having this conversation saying, we're going to burn 2024, get rid of all that bad blood that we had because of Harbaugh. And 2025, we're going to turn around and buy a Cadillac coach. I don't know, go get Pete Carroll or something. But I could see them doing something big in the offseason.
If Michigan goes 7-5 this year, do they fire Moore?
I'd be shocked if they go 7-5.
No, they're not going to fire him.
I think
it's going to look too bad on him to fire him.
Year.
No.
I mean, when's it going to change? How's the recruiting?
They'll keep him around for at least, well, I want to say until we figure out what the penalties are for the NCAA violations.
All right, that's fair enough. That takes another year. Then he sticks around for another year.
Yeah, they want to have a guy. They don't want the new coach coming and having to deal with all that crap.
I agree with you. Whenever that time is, however it takes, he'll be there until maybe that NCAA ruling comes down. Maybe that's the last thing they're waiting for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next game, we have an out-of-conference matchup, Big Ten versus ACC. Rutgers goes on the road to Blacksburg to face Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is favored by 3.5.
I'm sorry. Every time we talk Rutgers, I think of Moen last year trying to sell me a bill of goods 3 weeks in a row. And every week I listened to him. I took Rutgers every week, and every week they lost.
Okay.
So I don't care how good they are.
How many games has Rutgers lost this year?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Probably 0.
I have no idea what the record is.
How many games has Virginia Tech lost?
I have
1.
No
they lost 1 to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, that's why I picked Rutgers right there.
All right. Well, maybe I'll be wrong.
This is in Blacksburg.
Rutgers is going to run the ball down their throat.
I
hope you're right.
Okay. It's possible. I can't defend Virginia Tech necessarily. I'm averse to picking Rutgers. So
that's fine.
Them in Maryland.
Yep, we'll get
Maryland and Rutgers, right?
Yeah, those are the ones way out on the end. Anyway, 1 year, that's just going to kill me. I know I'm going to get it like 12 weeks in a row. There will be one of those games and it'll kill my picks because they'll do well. So,
all right, we've got Utah and Oklahoma State.
All right, let me go first, and then you can finish the other side. So I took Oklahoma State. I took them for a very specific reason. They're at home. I think that them and Utah are very similar. They both have 19-year experience, veteran quarterbacks that are next year going to be qualified for the NFL Hall of Fame, I think. And I think both teams are very good. I just think that Oklahoma State at home weathered the one storm they were going to have at home a couple weeks ago, and I think Utah is still from the offseason still thinks they're better than they are. And they may be, but Oklahoma State isn't a place you don't want to go in and you don't want to respect the opponent. So that's what I think we're going to see this weekend.
Go ahead, Moan.
I like Oklahoma State because it's in Stillwater, and I just can't trust whether Cam Rising's going to stay healthy. He's going to scramble or some crazy play is going to plant his foot wrong. I just can't trust Cam Rising. I got to take Oklahoma State.
Ye have little faith.
I do.
Ye have little faith.
I do.
Look, Utah is respecting Oklahoma State. They're not disrespecting the Pokes at all. This has been very cordial. Just some pokes here and there and everything, but hey, it's all good. Look, this game is going to come down to Rising. We all know that. Can Rising actually run? Like, can he get some yards with his legs? Can he get some first downs? It's a little shaky, a little sketchy, but I think he gets it done in big games. He goes all out. Look, I hope he stays healthy and stuff, but I get to see him actually ball out for this game, get it done. He's too veteran, too experienced to go into a hostile environment and just get housed. I just don't see that happening. He's been in a lot of big games before. Bowman's going to show out too. I think it's going to be fairly high scoring. I see it 34-24 Utah. I think Utah actually is going to score all the way through. They might go down by 7-10 points so early in that game, and they claw back, and then they really take over in the third and fourth quarter. But I see the Utes really getting it done. I think they're the better team. They've got more quality. They got better coaching, slightly. They got more talent. So I just think that this is the run for the Utes. This is the big one, the start of it. So I'm picking Utah. Go Utes.
Go Utes. Okay. Well, I think it's very fair if you can say that he stays healthy. They have a much better opportunity to win. If not, and they have to go with Isaac, I think.
They will lose if Isaac Wilson plays most of the game.
Ugly.
I didn't know we were allowed to use props. Otherwise, we would have brought Cam Rising's last X-ray.
Moan. You get Big Noon and this too? You have to rub it in, Moan?
That's funny. All right, let's go to the next one, Moan.
Tennessee at Oklahoma. Tennessee is favored by a touchdown. This is at Oklahoma, but nobody is picking on the Sooners to boomer up anything. Tennessee, I think, wins big here. I think Oklahoma gets a tough awakening into the SEC. They're not going to be able to keep up with the quarterback from Tennessee. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name. It's got like 14 letters in it, and 9 of them are consonants. So, but yeah, I like Tennessee. I think Tennessee might win by 14 or 21 points here.
I think Oklahoma's going to have a tough season, top to bottom. They got off to a slow start, and you're down. You're getting. Is it in Tennessee?
No, it's at OU.
They're getting 6.5 points, and it's at home.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about the team? I mean, I just don't know what's going on with Oklahoma. So,
yeah, this one could get ugly.
Tennessee's
like
real
early.
good. I know that.
Tennessee is really explosive. Yeah, Nico's very good quarterback. Like, they just have talent all over.
Yep.
I could see this be a 21-point game too, Mon. 21 points.
All right. Next up, we've got the Floyd of Rosedale, who's taking the bacon.
What is that? Floyd of Rosedale? Was that
give a little background.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a big pig they fight over. It's the big pig. It's a big Browns pig who has Floyd.
Why do they fight over a pig?
Because it's Minnesota and Iowa. What do you think they got a bunch of? Pigs and corn.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a trophy game. It's a big deal to them. Immaculate can tell you. Minnesota last year won this. I don't know if anybody remembers the fashion they won it in.
No.
They said the Iowa guy called a fair catch.
This was the fair catch game.
After he returned the touchdown, and they thought they were holding on to the trophy, and then Minnesota ran over and grabbed the pig. I like Iowa here to get that win back. I just think Iowa's a better team and more physical than Minnesota. I'm not sold on Brosmere. I mean, one time we did see him play anybody. He did not look good outside of a hurry-up drive. So I'm taking Iowa. It's a field goal game, which is probably, Iowa will win by 2 points because they're Iowa. Just screw me.
Tony Lawson says Pickles and Becky are obviously the brains
100%.
of this operation. That's probably true, Tony. You're probably right. Go ahead, you.
Yeah, Brosmere, he actually is a pretty good country music singer, guys. Have you heard his stuff before? He's released a song or two. It's pretty good stuff, and so you got to hand it to him in that way. This game's going to be low scoring, very, very low scoring. Like, how low scoring could it go? I do not know, but it seems like could it like maybe like a 10-7 game? 10-7 Iowa. 10-7 Iowa.
Jeez.
I will just say this about Max. It's a good thing he's a good country singer. That way he has something to fall back on.
No, he's a really good country singer.
These Big Ten schools that just cannot generate any offense. It just boggles the mind. I had nothing to say about this game except if it's 12-10 at the end of the day, that's about average. So whatever.
Big game.
All right. Kansas State, BYU. Go ahead, Moen.
Kansas State at BYU in Provo, late game. BYU is an 8-point dog here.
Yep, they are.
I think Kansas State wins this by 10.
Okay. Ute?
The more as time goes by, the more I think this game's going to be closer and closer. So if we made these picks today, I might actually take the Cougars in this game. But hey, I'm on the Cats. This night games at BYU are a little wild, a little weird, right? So I think this game is going to go along that too. BYU's got a very good defense, very good coordinator. They've got talent. I think that they can hold K-State to less than 27 points. I think the Cats might score in the 21-24, but can the Cougars get to 21?
Yeah,
or more. I just don't know about that. So I don't see the Cougars scoring more than 17. But if the Cougars do score more than 17, we can look at an upset here. I think that's going to be the key to watch is the Cougar offense. Can they move it? Can they get the ball to what's Chase Roberts, right? Chase Roberts, your stud receiver and everything.
Yeah, he's NFL all the way. And, it comes down to a couple things. One, if BYU's defense scores, if they get a touchdown on the defensive side of the ball, I think BYU could win this game. I think that's one tell. The other tell is how well Avery Johnson adjusts to the very fluid and NFL-esque defense and defensive backfield the BYU runs. Jay Hill's got them doing stuff that the Ravens are doing. That's how good the personnel is. So if Avery Johnson can overcome those challenges, he could have a big game. There's no doubt. But wait a second. I took BYU. This is screwed up.
No, I think you want to check the Discord because I double-checked and you took Kansas State.
No, it deleted the wrong thing then. I took BYU. There's no way I would go against. They're getting 7.5 at home on the night game.
I'm going to go to the Discord right now.
I believe you, Moen. I might have mistyped is all I'm saying. There's no way. It hasn't kicked
You got
off.
to give Bomber BYU. Let him out.
I'll give you BYU, but, you got to be more cognizant in the future, Bomber.
Hey, look, you're not my mother. If mistakes happen. And that's it.
I think that Nate, I think that you nailed it, though. I think that's turnovers.
Bomber right there, Moen. What are you talking about? Iowa Bomber, BYU. Look at it.
Then you've changed it since.
When did I change it? I just found out it could possibly be wrong. Shut your face. That's garbage. I'm not calling you a liar. You don't call me a liar.
He changed
That's BS. To everybody who's watching right now, I wouldn't take BYU in the points. I'll go against them at night in Provo. Wouldn't happen.
Yep. You're on BYU. Okay. So
always.
I think BYU needs 2 turnovers to win this game, though. 2
I'm fine with you. I'm fine with you changing it just because it means it's a more chance to catch up on.
I'm not talking to you right now. That's BS. Don't call me a liar, Bowen.
I'm just saying when I check the
Don't call
Discord.
me a liar. Don't call me a liar. Look at it right now. I just pulled it up.
Okay.
You're literally saying that I'm lying.
No, I'm not.
To lose
I'm
a
saying
pick, I'm lying.
I'm saying you've changed it at some point since I put my picks into the bracket.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't even. I'm not.
We got it right. We got it right.
I have no problem. I have no problem with making mistakes, but don't call me things that I didn't do. I'm not okay with that. I don't care about it that much to win.
All right, we got a super chat.
Well, I'm glad you took BYU. I think that gives us a better chance of catching up.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to you anymore right now. All right, Mark Bowman, $10 super chat. And if you join the show right now, you're here for this reason because we always fight. Remember, Iowa has the leading rusher in the nation, Caleb Johnson. I don't know him. Can anybody give background on him?
Caleb Johnson. Don't know a lot about him, but it makes sense that he's playing for Iowa. Running the rock, getting first downs, bleeding the clock.
Do you know who he is? Because I'm going to look him up because I don't even know who he is.
Caleb. Yeah. Mo, do you know anything about Caleb Johnson?
Remember, Iowa has the leading rusher in the nation, Caleb Johnson. I'm not familiar with the rusher, but it wouldn't shock me if they do because they don't have a damn quarterback.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's the only way you're going to get some offense in there.
So this says, let's just get caught up since we don't know who he is. Let's just find out. No, this isn't going to give us his up-to-date stats. All right. Well, I guess maybe if you get a link or something where you can describe and tell us what Caleb Johnson does and how he does it, I'd love to read it because I don't know anything about
it. It's not like Minnesota has a slouch at running back either. Darius Taylor is a very good running back as well. I think you're probably going to see a lot of running in this game. So if you like Big West football with 80% run plays called and 12-14, you'll probably like this game.
What's the over-under? I got to find out.
Let me see here.
Is it on here?
I'm going to say it's probably 36. I will say that. I'm just predicting it. I'll pull it up here.
No, Mon,
Iowa, Minnesota.
35.5. You nailed it.
Iowa, Minnesota 35.
Okay.
Yeah, the over-under for both of them to score. They under 36 points.
I would take the under.
Yeah, for sure.
On that. Yeah, I don't understand that at all. How did it 35? So who scores those points?
Maybe a pick six.
12. So you got maybe 3 or 4 field goals a piece and 1 touchdown. What does that get you to? Doesn't get you to 35.
Yeah.
Let's see, 14 and 14, 28. That still doesn't. You're still a touchdown short, even if you go 14 apiece.
Yeah, they're basically saying, is this game going to be like a 19-17 type of game, right? Like, if you think it's going to be less than 19-17, take the under.
Yeah, I would. I don't bet games. It's a way to lose money quick on sports events, but I would take the under. I don't know. Is it possible the guy goes for 250 yards, 3 touchdowns? Is that possible?
Yes. Is it probable?
No.
Based on the projections.
Take the under.
Yeah.
It's Iowa. Take the under.
Take the under.
I want the under so bad I might actually bet this guy. I don't sports bet either, but like it's so appetizing.
Well, Moen's the pro. Moen actually does this. So
Mark Bobin will take your $10 and you'll put it on Iowa for the under.
You'll have to. I want the winnings. I want the part of that winnings for that game. I don't know how does the over/under work, Moen? You say you bet under. Say you bet.
So you bet under. So the total point, if the total points ends up being 13-10,
right?
That's 23 points.
Okay.
If the over/under is at 35 and you bet the under, you win.
But is it like 1-to-1? If you bet 100, you get 200 back, or how does that work?
Generally, it's 1-to-1. Well, it depends on if you're playing it with a bookie versus Las Vegas. There's always a vig. You've got to pay a certain amount to place the bet.
Oh,
so you're never gonna. It's not like $100 to $100.
Okay,
it might be $100 to win 80, because there's
it's
a vig, a fee. Yeah, there's a fee to cover the cost to the bookmaker or the betting app.
So you bet the under. Now you see you're talking me into this. So you bet the under, and if you win, you get almost double back.
Yeah,
almost. Yeah, you get a little less. Than double.
Wow. Okay.
We should put like a parlay on Tennessee and the Tennessee winning versus spread and the under. Here.
Tony Lawson says Caleb Johnson is a well-known gambler in Sioux City.
Oh, man.
That's funny.
If we're going to do a parlay, we've got to get 3 things. So,
well, yeah, we go USC too. I mean, we're all look at this. Like we're pretty much on the map right here.
Tennessee.
We all agree.
You're not going to get a huge. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's a safe bet, but we're not going to get a huge payout on that parlay.
It's too late to do Nebraska, and
Yeah,
USC is not.
Nebraska.
But you could do Tennessee, Iowa, and if you guys think it's Kansas State, I think betting against the numbers in Provo on a Saturday night, though. If people don't know, BYU is 23-2. That's right, 23-2 in games played after 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Then
the Tennessee spread, we all agree with that.
That's crazy.
The USC spread, we all agree with that, and we all agree that the over/under on Iowa.
Yeah, that's
the parlay that we'd have to make right there.
All right, make that happen, Moen. I'll give you $5.
Moen, yeah, I'll Venmo you, Moen, if you want to put that in.
Tell me what you
Caleb
want.
Johnson says 479 on 51 carries.
Wow, okay.
No way.
Mark Bowman's calling a shot. That's hilarious. All right, let's get to some comments here. We're through all these, right? We don't have any more picks to do?
No.
Okay.
I apologize, Bomber. It does. When I made the picks, I double checked, dude, and it said KSU.
I don't know. Then there's a ghost in there in the machine changing stuff because just forever going forward, I will never go against BYU on a night game.
I didn't figure you would. That's why I double checked. I was like, that doesn't make sense, but. Then I thought that you were more concerned with winning. So
no, I don't care. No, not when it comes to BYU. No, I'll lose all the time with them. All right. Big Lubbock says Tennessee has the easiest SEC schedule. Maybe. I don't know. We didn't.
Well, they're playing Oklahoma.
Tennessee.
So
well, that's turning out to be maybe an easy one. Tony Lawson says got to pay the juice, so you have to get the vig.
Yep.
What's the vig? What does that mean? Sorry. What is?
It's the portion that the bookie takes.
Yeah.
Is that like an acronym?
No.
It's vigorish.
It's an actual
short
word.
Yeah, it's short for vigorish, which just is basically the bookie's cut, and then the juice is what you pay on it if you don't pay your bookie.
And if you watch Sopranos, you learned all this stuff, because they tell you that if people let the vig ride, it doubles and doubles again and doubles again. So you go from 1 week, you only bet $10. By the end of a month, after you've doubled it over, you owe like $10,000.
Well, not necessarily. Let it ride. When you're letting something ride, it's usually you're taking your winnings and you're saying, let me replace my winnings on this.
Right.
And then they hit you with a vig again because you got to place a vig every time you bet.
But the reverse is true also. If you lose, you have to pay not only the losing amount, but you're paying the vig portion also.
Here's story time, all right?
Okay.
Let me give you a quick story.
Okay, quickly.
2006 or it was 2007. I bet on Ohio State every week. Started with a $50 bet, let it ride every week.
Okay.
Several weeks, they just pulled out and covered the spread. Literally against Penn State, they weren't going to cover the spread. Scored 2 pick sixes in the last 3 minutes to cover the spread.
Wow.
I let it ride. I go into the national championship game against Florida. Let it ride.
How much money was on the line?
It was over $3,000 at that point.
And if you'd won, what would have been the payout?
It would have been over $6,000.
Jeez, that sucks. And you started with how much? 50? $50. Brother and sister Mary. I know it's a quick way to lose your house and your family. Betting sports.
But at the end of the day, it's not like I lost $3,000. I just tell myself I lost $50.
Right. Troll grinding cheek clapper, still the best name in the universe. Just remember, you guys, no need to get heated. It's far more important to remember what's important. None of you are Notre Dame fans or the Cal football team, which has no fans. That's true. That's absolutely true. So does Cal win this weekend? Does Cal beat Florida State?
I really hope they don't. I've got to the point where Cal's Twitter is walking around like they've,
like they've
won
done something.
Yeah, like they've done something in the last 50 years.
Right.
Yeah. If you're so good, stop take your hand out of UCLA's pocket.
Yeah.
There's a Cal Twitter?
All of a sudden, they came out of nowhere this week. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that for the last 12 years.
They study hard and they meme hard.
Yes, they do. they're all in too. There's some nasty guys out there right now doing some stupid stuff because they happen to be good for 3 weeks, beginning of the season, by the way. So I don't know. I hope they don't win. I want Florida State to beat them down, but.
Hey, one last thing on our parlay here. Mon, I'm transferring you $10. You put it on the parlay. If we win that parlay, I'm going to buy memberships for everybody in this community. Okay.
Okay.
If we win.
When you send it to me, remind me what the parlay is you want me to put it
on.
Okay.
I'm doing it.
Let's see. So what did we settle on?
Yeah, we got a USC on the spread. We'll get Tennessee on the spread and the under on Iowa, Minnesota.
Tennessee.
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah.
USC though? Oh, because they're on the road. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Sure. Whatever. I can send you $10. Doesn't matter to me. Let's get to some more good comments here. Everybody's here. It's Friday night. I hope everybody's loose and having fun. You've certainly walked into a hornet's nest tonight, though. Daniel Gygax, the Cal memes have been hilarious, and it's the first time in 15 years that football in Berkeley has done anything. I think the last time Cal was relevant was when they had beast mode suited up and playing football.
I was going to say Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers was just before, I think.
Yeah, just before Marshall.
They were like back to back, I think. Yeah. 2007, 2008. That's about right.
Yeah,
right?
Deshaun Jackson too.
Ooh, Deshaun
they got
Jackson
around the top 10 with Jared Goff for like a week, and then Utah beat them down pretty hard, and they never came back.
Yeah.
Goff in the Goff realm.
So I think we're all going to become supporters for Florida State for this weekend. Everybody cheer for Florida State. Good thinking. Let's go, Florida State represent. Justin R., USF fan. Hey, Justin, in your comments, tell me, do you want to go to the Pac-12 or not? Give me a comment right now. You're in the house. Let us know. Do you want to go?
I think I started his comment up there at the top.
Did he already say it?
He does not want to go.
He doesn't want to go. Okay, all right. Since 2020, 3 Big 12 teams have lost to G5 teams at home, only to end up in the conference title game that season. 2020 ISU, 22 KSU, and in 2023 Oklahoma State. Kansas lost to UNLV this season, so we will see.
I think it was Nevada, not UNLV. Nevada.
Okay, there you go. Let's get it right. And I'm curious, Justin, do you want to come on the show? I'd love to hear your thinking on the Pac-12. Because I haven't talked to anybody in Tulane, Memphis, USF. I'd love to hear your opinion. If you want to join the show, post your comment. Moen will grab it, and I'll send you the invite. I'd love to talk to somebody about it. Daniel Kopcha, I think a can of worms was open tonight that should have kept closed.
This isn't even hardly what you would call a can of worms.
You don't even
I didn't
know,
tell him to F off or anything.
Which has happened in the past. So that was like maybe a third of what we've seen in the past. Let's see. Clip Moses says, clip that. That'll be fun. Love to see that on Twitter repeated over and over again. Daniel Kopcha says, lol. Let's see here. C. John. Bomber, get on the K-State bandwagon. Plenty of room for you. Yeah, no. That's me. Clint Moses is laughing. That's nice. Thanks, Clint. Appreciate you being here. Iowa cheats, says Tony. Clint again says 0 SEC picks are on brand. I'd like to see Pac-12 options.
No, we had Tennessee, Oklahoma is a SEC pick, and we had 2 Pac-12 options last week.
Yes.
We had Oregon State at Oregon and Washington State at Washington.
We haven't avoided those at all. It comes down to matchups each week.
Yeah, I try and mix them up as much as I can, guys. Give each conference a little something. You know, the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12. With the power, Oregon State, Washington State matchups, there's just not as many compelling matchups this year, unfortunately.
Tony Lawson says the Iowa Minnesota game last year was 12-10.
Holy smokes.
After they called back the touchdown.
That's definitely an under.
Yeah, that's a definite under.
That's an under.
I'd say KSU Utah split tomorrow. Yeah, BYU wins and Utah wins. Look, at the end of the day, for Ute and I, the best game of this season would be November 9th, Holy War. Have both these teams undefeated.
If that happened, oh my gosh, out here in our culture.
It would break the internet.
Utah, it would, yeah.
And game day would have to consider coming because they'd both be ranked at that point. Utah would be fighting for that top position. for the Big 12. I think
they'd choose an SEC game still, probably. Turkeys.
Yeah. Amy S says, I worry about 100 degrees and humidity at Oklahoma State. But go Utes. So Amy's cheering for you.
Them socks.
Look, so this game, okay, so like Utah does not play well on the road. Okay, we all know that. I think that's why it's easy to pick against them. Like they haven't. Yep. They need a show at this time. Like they've lost to 8 out of the last 10 ranked matchups on the road. Yeah, it just is what it is. They play great at home. They lose on the road. It just seems like this year, this is the time to change that. You're in the Big 12 now and everything. I just feel like it's going to flip because if you got Rising, lean on his experience, Whittingham too. So that's got to change sometime. Hopefully it's tomorrow.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath. I think Utah's going to have it's tough. It's difficult in Stillwater. That's all I can tell you. And BYU was up 21. And yeah, it wasn't the greatest BYU team, but Oklahoma State came back from behind Ollie Gordon. So you keep Ollie Gordon in check. Yeah, you'll win by 14 probably. I would agree with that. Daniel Gygax, another member, says, I remember when Rutgers Virginia Tech was a conference game.
So do I.
I remember it, but I never thought it was a big deal. To Townhawk, Balmer and Becky showing true wisdom. Which one was that one?
That would be Kansas.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll find out. I honestly flipped a coin. I did. I love Morgantown for the home game, but I don't know. Wild Ute, you're killing me. Wild Ute.
Hey, sorry. Yeah, I know that's the under. Got to bet that under. Tony, tell me that you're not going to bet the under too. Are you going to go over?
I just don't know where the points come from. Maybe defense, maybe a couple defensive touchdowns or something. Timothy Green checking back in says, one thing I really liked about your guys' picks at our picks. At least you are honest and great, and a great show as usual. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Timothy. We appreciate you.
Tell it like it is, like we see it. Right?
There's no sacred cows.
By the way, Stanford is up on Syracuse 7-0. End of the first quarter.
What kind of rating that game going to get, guys? So
I don't know. Stanford and Cal. I know it's rough. It's painful to even see that. Could Trojan Spartans be a trophy game in conference in a few years, Moen?
I don't think they would saddle the USC Trojans with the Michigan State Spartans. I understand it. Helen of Troy,
right?
You know, that whole thing, but I believe that USC is probably going to opt out of the Notre Dame game here in the next year or two.
Really?
And I think they'll probably get Penn State as a replacement game at the end of the year.
Wow, that would be huge news if they did that.
I think they will do that.
I am stunned. USC doesn't want to play Notre Dame. Why?
Well, one, because it's an out-of-conference game against a tough opponent.
Right. Yeah. That's never scared them in the past, though.
At the end of the year. So, I mean, if you're one game away from maybe being number 9 in the playoff, you know, you don't necessarily want to play Notre Dame. A conference game, if there's, you know, a conference semifinal, you've got a chance with Penn State. But I think part of it is, too, they don't want to play, you know, you've only got a limited number of out-of-conference games. You got to beat up on people. If you move to 10 conference games, you're not going to say, well, one of our out-of-conference games has to be Notre Dame. Now we've got one conference game to beat up on somebody, a non-conference game to beat up on somebody.
That would absolutely break college football if you had a blue blood sign out and not play Notre Dame anymore.
Make an angry leprechaun for sure. Seriously, that's the kind of pressure that Notre Dame needs to bend the knee.
Absolutely. I would love to see it. I just find it hard to believe that USC would walk away from a game that's a trophy game every year.
Mon, I've got a question for you. Okay?
That's historical, not, you know, you got to look at the future.
Okay. Go ahead.
What's your question,
Would you be more satisfied with Notre Dame bending the knee and coming to the Big Ten, or Ohio State winning one national championship?
Ohio State.
Which one would bring you more satisfaction?
Whoa. Hold on. Just one?
One national championship, or Notre Dame bending the knee forever into the Big Ten.
But it's not like it's the only national championship we can win, right? We can win.
Like, yeah, in the future you'd have a chance to win and stuff, but like one guaranteed national championship.
I would take the guaranteed national championship this year.
Okay.
I want to be in front of Michigan. Right now, we are behind Michigan in national championship. I want to be in front of them on the timeline.
Ooh. Priorities.
Yes,
Wow.
it means that much to me.
Notre Dame is one of those dragons that needs to be slayed. Just something needs to change with them. They need to lose their status. It's not fair that they have the same value as an entire conference. That makes absolutely no sense to me. It never will. And their last national championship was in '88. So give me a break if you're talking about status and prestige. I mean, you haven't done anything in 36 years?
By the way,
That's only 2 years more than BYU. Give me, or 4 years more than BYU.
Illinois is now up 7-0 on Nebraska.
Shut the front door.
Damn it. You knew that was going to happen the minute I pick them.
Gee.
Clint Moses, Raycom Sports, Big 12 Studios, new show, Inside the 12. Did you guys hear this news?
Yeah,
I
the
saw
Fast
that.
Network.
Yeah. Do you think it's a big deal? I really don't think it's a big deal.
No,
but
it's a nothing burger to me too.
It's something. I mean, you know, I don't know what they're going to show on there. I honestly don't. I mean, because I think ESPN Plus controls all your additional content.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's documentaries that they're going to produce or
maybe they'll do something like Inside the NFL, you know, a weekly hour-long show that reviews the entire conference.
Yeah, usually with a Fast Network, though, you've got to have 24 hours of programming, 7 days a
I
week.
don't know what they're going to put in there because ESPN and Fox own their rights to everything.
Yeah. So,
I didn't think it was a big deal, but thanks for bringing it up, Clint. It definitely was a news item today. Moen, between you and Greg picking West Virginia has been a jinx.
yes.
You're
was all my
jinxing it,
fault.
Moen.
All my fault. I'm the one who gave up 10 points with 5 minutes left.
Yeah, I don't think
It was
it's
me on the
fault for
field.
theirs. Timothy Green still no score on Stamp. Oh, that's an old one. Sorry. Antoine Codes, I'll catch the replay later. Heading to dinner with the family. That's way more important.
Thank you, Antoine Codes. Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, thank you for being here. What time is it? It's 6:15. I have to make an announcement so everybody knows. This is going to be my last show for a while. I probably should have done this at the very beginning. I apologize. I forgot. I'm going to be out for an extended amount of time. This is a second surgery for cancer, and this is a much bigger one. I hate being the center of attention, but you guys need to know. Obviously, I'm here for you. So, Ute, Moen, Daniel Gygax has stepped in and helped a little bit. The team will keep going, but I'm probably going to be off Twitter for a minute. You're not going to see me around because I'm going to be in recovery. So, just keep doing what you guys are doing. All the members that we have, all the shows we put together, all the special membership stuff that we presented to you, please continue to support us in that regard. Just because I'm gone, these guys are better than I am anyway. Just keep those show going. I would really appreciate that. I'm not going to be here for Tuesday night, so this will definitely be my last show for a while. All right, let's go. Laura Weiss says praying for you in Lubbock. Thank you, Laura. I really appreciate that.
You know,
I
just want to say something. You know what does
go ahead.
wonders for healing and recovery?
What's that?
Memberships and super chats.
Okay, there you go.
And
I love it.
parlays.
That will make me feel better. Yes.
That's a joke, people. Don't take that seriously.
Yeah, we're just teasing.
That's
Just
a tease.
Daniel Gygax, they can do coaching shows, interviews, and that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unique content is what they're going to come up with. Big Lubbock, I'll be praying for you, Bummer. Thank you, Lubbock. Appreciate that. Troll grinding, cheat clapper. I'd personally rather stop playing UCLA than Notre Dame. At least as a USC fan, I have no say, though. But the USC fans did complain enough to ensure FCS games never occurred, leaving USC FCS game free. What does that mean?
USC ain't playing FCS teams anymore.
Oh, they're not going to play
fan base
anymore.
pushing back.
No, but I mean, that's the thing. If you go to 10 conference games, which we believe is coming because, you know, PJ Fleck made sure in his contract extension he gets paid more for 10 conference games.
Right.
That has been discussed. That leaves 2 out of conference games for USC. With all the competitive nature and the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC to get into the playoffs, it's a risk taking Notre Dame on as one of those out of conference opponents. It is. You'd be better off playing
Fullerton, Cal State Fullerton.
Well,
or something like
I think that's an FCS team.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of an FCS
San Jose
team.
State. San Jose State?
Yeah, we'll go with a Mountain West team like Nevada.
Okay.
You'd be better off playing a Nevada than a Notre Dame. So.
I didn't know that had changed. I didn't know they quit playing them. So, does that surprise you at all? Did you know?
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Not surprised though, because USC usually has a pretty stacked schedule. I don't remember the last time they played a crappy team, an FCS team or some gimme team. So that makes plenty of sense. But Moen, like your comments there, like I mean, if you're not wanting to play a USC for the risk of loss, would you want to play any Power 4, A4 conference opponent at all?
Well, I mean, they don't have to be A4. I mean, you could play any FBS opponent. That could be a Mountain West team. That could be an AAC team. That could be a CUSA team. That could be a Sun Belt team.
Just not FCS.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have an you remember they tried to get out of LSU this year. They ended up winning that game, but they wanted to get out of LSU this year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, USC wanted to get out of that LSU game this year, but they couldn't do it. So,
well, it turned out to be a season starter for them.
It did. Yeah. It did. But if you go to 10 conference games and you're playing the Big Ten Conference, that's a rough schedule. And then say on top of that, okay, now for one of your out-of-conference opponents, you have to play Notre Dame. And as much as I shit on Notre Dame puts together some decent teams.
They do.
So, I mean, there's a possibility you could be 10-1 heading into the season, or let's say 9-2 heading into that game. And end up being 9-3 and missing the playoffs.
I think just Notre Dame, though, even if you lose that game, I don't think it drops you out of the playoff. If you're 9-2, you lose to Notre Dame, especially a good Notre Dame team, I don't think that necessarily excludes you.
Sure, I mean it's a theoretical. It's going to depend on the circumstances how everybody else played, but it's something you have to keep in mind. It's do I want to include this out of conference game that I don't necessarily need to play?
Yeah, that's very fair, I think.
Especially when you're getting rivalries like Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State. I mean, there's other huge brands that USC can.
The Big Ten is going to be incredible in 3 or 4 years.
Not to mention all those West Coast teams have to play each other. So you got to play Washington, Oregon. You get to play Washington and Oregon every year. I'm not going to count UCLA yet.
Is the Big Ten ever going to make a requirement where you have to play an A4 level opponent?
Probably.
So even
not.
if
outside of beginning games like these
kickoff classic,
kickoff classic, Hall of Fame bowl kind of deals. But I think the Big Ten's probably going to change that up, where they're going to start doing that. There have been talks about doing a game like that in Lucas Stadium here in Indianapolis, where an Ohio State will play an A4 team on the road. So we could see something like that to battle because there's a Chick-fil-A. I think the Chick-fil-A one's tied with the SEC and the ACC, if I'm correct. I think that's the one that Georgia and Clemson played this year. If I'm correct, I might be wrong, but I think
the SEC and the Big Ten, there's no doubt about it. Those are monster leagues. Yeah, and they're just getting better,
and they're going to get bigger.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that. Let's see here. C. John says, Bomber, thoughts and prayers for your quick recovery. You'll be back on your feet arguing with Moen before you know it. I can't wait.
I'm not going to let him get to the surgery.
I can't
text him right before he goes under.
To Town Hawk, USC will wind up lobbying to get in as an 8-4 team every year. I can already taste their delicious tears. We're hammering USC tonight.
USC.
Well, they will lobby. They'll lobby. Everybody will lobby at an 8-4 team. But again, that doesn't make it so.
Justin R. says, remember this year's Iowa State over-under was 36. Iowa won 20-19.
Iowa State won 20-19 on a last-second field goal. A last-second 53-yard field goal.
No way. To beat the spread on that, huh?
Fixing that. Yeah. Iowa State did win. Got that wrong. While King Morales, Bomber, keeping you on my prayers. Mo and Wild Ute will keep going till you get back. I have no doubt. I am sure that is true. Ed Wayner checking in. Good to see Ed. Hello, all ready for a great weekend of Big 12 football. West Virginia versus Kansas. Seems like an elimination game.
Kind of.
I think it is. Absolutely it is.
Whoever loses that game is at a huge disadvantage. Conference loss.
Yep.
West Virginia's got to get this game.
It's
It
at
could go off the
Morgan-
rails for West Virginia
Yeah.
if they don't win it.
Yeah. If they don't win
It
this
really
Kansas
could.
game, they need to seriously look at firing Neil Brown.
I think they're
Yeah.
doing it anyway.
This is huge for West Virginia.
Does Utah play West Virginia this year? Okay, so they get by, and they don't have BYU at home either. So they've got 3 or 4 games that they've got to have probably an easier schedule. Kansas, I'm talking about. Kansas comes to BYU. Sorry, Kansas comes to BYU. West Virginia doesn't play either. That's what it is. Okay. All right.
So West Virginia, here's the docket for West Virginia. Kansas at home, traveling to Oklahoma State and Stillwater.
Yikes.
Iowa State coming to Morgantown right after.
Yeah.
Kansas State coming to Morgantown. West Virginia traveling to Tucson to play Arizona. That's crazy, guys. And then they've got Cincinnati, Baylor, UCF, Texas Tech, but they could lose 3-4 games, right?
Yep, exactly. Hey, Moen.
I just want to give a score update real quick.
Yeah, go
Stanford is now up 10-0 on Syracuse.
Lord.
Nebraska is in the red zone against Illinois. So
All right.
Nebraska is going to get some points probably.
I'm just cheering against Cal and Stanford. That's all I can say. Let's open the phone lines, Moen. What do you think about that?
I'll have to back out. I didn't know you want to do the phones.
So no, we don't have to. It was just an idea. I thought it was easy. I'm not sure
I didn't have the phones
are.
up so I could have YouTube chat up if we wanted to run.
No, yeah, that's more important. Let's stick to what we're doing then. We're already in Q&A as it is, so let's just go with that.
Okay.
Let me keep going with questions we've got marked from long ago. Daniel Kopcha says, I'm a Buckeye like Moen, but I agree with you. OSU has the better game than OSU Buckeyes or OSU Beavers.
Yeah. There's no doubt about the better game. It's just the bigger rating. You're gonna get the bigger rating.
He managed to work in every single OSU in there. Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Oregon State.
There's a few of them for sure. Yeah. Daniel Gygax, look out for Marshall and the Tudor Biscuit NIL. I don't know what that is. Moen?
That's something the Marshall coach. They have a Tudor Biscuit, I guess, is one of their name, image, and likeness sponsors, and he offered anybody who wanted to leave Ohio State and come to Marshall.
Oh, really? Well, that's cool.
I think Jeremiah Smith is going to stick with the Ohio State NIL deal he has,
which is
in excess of $2 million.
Oh my Lord! Really?
Yes. Holy smokes!
That's what I've heard. I can't confirm that. That's what I've heard.
Nobody can compete.
But he is the best freshman in the country.
That's insane. Clint Moses says Raycon pregame show. It's possible.
Listen, that's exactly what we need to do right there. That's how you use Raycom. Make a pregame show, best Big 12 game of the week, especially since Big Noon isn't going to get priority nor is game day. That is what you do. Nice call, Clint.
BYU already does that, but they have their own production house, so they're a little different than everybody else. But I agree, it would be better if it was by the league. So maybe a weekly best of, like a review of the games, maybe for an hour and a half or something, and then pregame shows for as many games as you could get to. Maybe pick 2 or 3 of the best ones. That would be cool. I would tune in and watch those things. Especially if your team's involved, of course. Muggy Wow says, wait to see if Pat can grab some ACC leftovers. Maybe, but in my opinion, if you wait, you die.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about the ACC at all.
Well, go ahead and talk about it right now. Bring it up.
We'll bring it up here.
Yeah.
They have Florida State and Clemson have pushed an agreement to settle, or a proposal to settle.
Yeah, they proposed the ACC. Let's keep it straight. Yep.
Yes, it's more revenue distribution on ratings drivers as well as on-field success for them to stay in the ACC. This would also reduce the ACC grant of rights from 2036 with the look in this year, next year, to 2030.
That's the proposal.
That's the proposal. And I am strongly of the belief that proposal will be approved.
Are you really?
I believe that.
Go ahead.
That's unbelievable. I mean, I think that the proposal makes sense based on the anti-milking provision discussion we've already had. Mm-hmm. But if I am Virginia Tech, if I am UNC, if I'm NC State, if I'm Louisville, if I'm Miami, I am not accepting this. I mean, why would you just give more money over to Clemson and FSU and take less when you're already way behind? You don't need to do that if you're Miami.
You're
But
right.
seriously, Miami has
You
an
don't
option.
need to, but it lowers the grant of rights for everybody.
So
it
you're going to
reduces
capitulate.
2030 to 2030.
Yeah, it reduces 6 years off of your deal with the ACC. Within 6 years, there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of expansion in before the next Big 10 media deal, before the next Big 12 media deal, before
30,
the next SEC media deal.
32. Yep.
So I think this is a win-win-win. I think the ACC gets to keep Florida State and Clemson, which allows ESPN to sign that look-in extension without any qualms. Florida State and Clemson don't lose any face in the deal. They get what they wanted. The ACC somewhat gets what they want. Now, your smaller schools like Wake Forest, Boston College, those, you'd think they'd be against it. But at the end of the day, they get what they want. They get a lifeline for 6 years. That's 6 years to figure shit out. Where are we going? What's our plan? What's our contingency? Let's say Florida State or Clemson breaks out within a year or two. There is no contingency. You don't have time. You couldn't make plans. You couldn't build relationships. So I think this is a win-win-win for all parties. I think it allows, say, North Carolina to get North Carolina State an AAU accreditation. I think it allows UVA to get Virginia Tech an AAU accreditation. It allows Florida State and Clemson time to build relationships and possibly get their AAU status. Allows schools like Boston College, Wake Forest, these smaller schools, Syracuse, to make inroads with relationships and figure out what they're doing. So I think it makes a lot of sense moving forward for all parties.
That sounds like a nice kumbaya and everything, Moan, right there. You know, you got Wake Forest happy, making $1, and Florida State getting $100. You know, like, hey, if they're happy, they're happy. See it a little bit different way, though. I just don't see the middle class of the ACC. I'm talking about Louisville. I'm talking about NC State and UNC, UVA accepting this. Why would you accept this?
Again,
why would you capitulate and say, hey?
You'd take a little less money to stay there 6 years or take the same money to stay there 12 years.
Wait, who's making the decision of 2036 versus 2030? Is ESPN making that decision?
That would be part. Well,
ACC?
it wouldn't matter because the ESPN media deal is not tied to the Gore.
It's part of the negotiation that Florida State.
The grant of rights is between the schools and the conference. Sure. The media rights are between the conference and ESPN.
That is what is being litigated right now to determine. Yeah. We do not know that answer, actually.
So
you can't even make this agreement until the litigation happens.
Part of the proposal is that you would reduce the ACC Gore down to 2030 from 2036.
So
now for schools like Louisville, you got a great point. And I'll let you talk, Bomber. I don't want to cut you off, but
that's all right. I've been waiting. Yeah, you're good.
I know. I'm getting a little verbose on the subject, but
it's all right.
For a school like Louisville, 12 years versus 6 years, if they know they've got a home in the Big 12 and they know they're going to get a much better payout in the Big 12, would you rather take a little less money now and get it in 6 years, or take the same amount of money, which is chicken scratch, honestly, and get there in 12 years? All right, Bomber,
response. I will. If I'm Louisville, why would you do that when you could let this conference explode as is and just go right over the Big 12 and make more today? Time value of money says you should take more today than you should in 6 to 8 to 10 years. And Louisville would have a bigger payout in the Big 12 than they would in the ACC. Why in the freaking heck would they stay? I wouldn't. I would not accept this at all. And we're not even talking about UVA or UNC that might have options to go to the SEC. This is just like, this is an absolute no, hard no. Absolutely not. No chance, no chance. There's a lot of like, hey, well, you know what? We can sign this, reduce the Gore and everything. You don't think ESPN's buying on that. Is ESPN okay with this? Like, that is part of what we're talking about here. The Gore's tied with that ESPN deal. We don't even know the answer to that question. It's not like all of a sudden magically, let's just reduce this down 6 years. Is ESPN okay with that? We don't know that.
I will let you go first, Bomber.
I will just say this: if they adjust the Gore, they're going to lose schools. If the Gore gets reduced by 5-6 years, Louisville, they're going to leave because they have no incentive to sit there and be milked by Florida State and Clemson. This was proposed by Florida State and Clemson 2 years ago, and they denied it. Now it's coming around again, and it's Florida State and Clemson that are doing the proposing, not ESPN and the ACC. They did not come up with this. This is a Florida State Clemson idea. They want to blow up the Gore. Of course they want to blow that up because they want out now. If they do get a 5 or 6 year out, they can drop their lawsuits and still be ahead. So this services nobody but the top and the bottom. The middle gets screwed. NC State, Virginia Tech, Louisville, Miami, they're the ones who are going to take advantage of. Everybody already knows what Boston College is worth.
Sure.
But Louisville's worth a lot more in the Big 12 right now. So
UNC?
why would you sit there and be taken advantage of by Clemson and Florida State? To me, it makes absolutely no sense.
We know what the viewership numbers are.
Why the middle schools would do that.
Look, we know what the splits would be based on the viewership. UNC's football viewership sucks. Like, they're going to get housed in this deal. Why in the world would they accept that?
Well, we don't know.
Blow up anyway.
There could be an egret into the deal where it's you get more national exposure. You get to play these teams more often. You get to play a Florida State every year. You get to play either a Clemson or a Florida State every year. As to the media deal, we didn't know there was a look-in. 18 months ago, none of us had any idea that ESPN had to sign off on this.
We did not.
So who's not to say there's not a look-in in 2030?
But that's the point, though. If you adjust the Gore, people have an out.
Well, I say you don't have to adjust the Gore. You could
but your proposal was from 36 to 30.
Right. You could just have ESPN waive the option for 2030 and beyond.
Why would they do that? They're getting product right now at a discount. Why would they throw their contract out?
Because in 6 years they can get the properties they all want into the SEC.
If they wanted to do that now, they could do that now.
They couldn't.
They couldn't. They absolutely could.
They couldn't. They could not get North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, and Florida State into the SEC today.
If they paid the money, whatever the settlement would be,
if they paid $2 billion from a company that's losing money.
If I'm North Carolina, Virginia Tech, I underwrite the lawsuit Florida State and Clemson are doing right now. I want that lawsuit to win.
They do not want that lawsuit to win.
They do, because they have outs. The Big 12. Look, we're going to have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, we'll have to agree to disagree here. I'll put this way. People want to get their ducks in a row. There are things that are going on behind the scenes inside the Big Ten and the SEC that involve other parties that things have to pass first. And it's going to take some time for those things to pass. If those teams suddenly got out, there's going to be some issues with them finding landing locations.
Okay, this is the one question I'll ask you. We know Florida State and Clemson are going to end up somewhere. We know North Carolina, maybe North Carolina State is going to end up somewhere. Maybe Miami. But those other schools, they could care less what the machinations are going on in the SEC and the Big Ten. They're the ones that are going to get left out at the end.
No. Virginia Tech are going to find landing spots. I have no doubt about that. In the Power 2, those two schools will find landing spots.
So let's talk about Louisville. If you're Louisville,
you're going to take a little less money, but Louisville's up there with the highest in the ratings.
But that's not the point. The point is they're going to be taken advantage of to pay these other schools that are definitely going to get higher ratings. Look, the higher ratings thing is a red herring. Of course, Clemson and Florida State are proposing that. They're on TV the most. Of course, they're going to agree to that.
Yeah, but you can also bring up your averages by making sure that Florida State and Clemson play these ACC teams. We'll just agree to disagree. Yeah, but like I said,
we look at it completely different ways. Completely different. They're not even close to how we look at this.
Yes, I put it in Twitter. This is a controlled demolition for 2030.
But again, your proposal is controlled demolition for the SEC and the Big Ten, not for anybody else.
Yes, but I think you're probably going to get maybe 8 of these teams out of the ACC into the Big Ten and the SEC. You still have you're disenfranchising more than half of your conference. If it was that easy, why didn't they blow the thing up last year with 7? If it was just this easy, why didn't they do it then? They're not ready for it yet. They are not ready. They need North Carolina State to get AAU. They need Virginia Tech to get AAU. Florida State and Clemson both need AAU. They need to build relationships.
All these schools you're talking about have nothing to do with the overall conference. They're individual
You're right,
schools.
but
thinking
Wake
about
Forest
themselves.
and Boston College need time. They've got to figure
For
out
what? What are they going to do?
Well,
Who's
they've got
their
to figure out
fallback?
what they're going to do on the when it finishes up. Are they going to continue the ACC and bring in over AAC teams?
There will be no ACC if all these schools leave at this controlled demolition. The ACC
There will
will
be-
cease to exist.
Well, okay, so all the schools that left the pack, is there a Pac-12 left?
Yeah, but that's because they won a lawsuit. They had
But
money to
that's-
underwrite
that's
it. They're,
two schools to
Boston
maintain.
College, they're not going to win some lawsuit.
Yeah, but there's two schools that can still maintain that ACC. They
The
can
point
say
is
we're
the
still
money.
the ACC.
Moen, the money isn't there. Where does the money come from to underwrite Boston College, Syracuse, Wake Forest to keep that conference going? You asked the difference between the two. The difference is Pac-12 won almost $250 million to reconstitute their conference.
And there will be money there for Wake Forest and Boston College when this all goes down.
When they do a dissolution, when all these schools decide, I'm ready now, I've got my landing
I don't
place,
think they're going to
blow
dissolve.
the thing up.
It's not going to dissolve. They're going to leave.
What
And
is
they're
that?
going to
Why?
want to say, we're going to
why
win
would you-
2029 and we'll pay the exit fee.
Let me ask you this.
And-
Why pay the exit fee when you can get 8 other people to vote with you and blow the whole thing up and not have to
Because
pay
we
a
do
cent?
not know that that's a fact.
But we don't know it's not a fact.
Well,
We don't
do
know-
because the rule of law of North Carolina says a nonprofit organization needs a 75% vote in order to dissolve.
Okay. This goes against everything we've talked about for over a year.
I
Why
understand
Why
that.
did this fly out of the left field idea being proposed by Florida State and Clemson? The only two schools that will absolutely benefit from this. All of a sudden, everybody's going to change their minds and go, "Oh wait, sorry, I didn't know what I was doing before."
Every school will benefit from this.
I just
That's
okay. Okay.
what we should was press into that a little bit. And first off, like, hey, I guess a Big 12 supporter, I've got bias in wanting to see the ACC rupture. I got to say that, like, going into this conversation, I want to see a rupture because it benefits the Big 12. 100%.
I totally agree.
It is what it is.
We're on the same.
So
we're
I'm just
declared
going to say
way.
that going into this conversation, like, so I know that, but Moan, okay, given that, I'm acknowledging that if I'm Louisville or if I'm Virginia, how is this a benefit to you? Virginia's football numbers, viewership are absolutely dreadful. Like,
Sure.
you are going to be taking major pay cuts for the next, 6-7 years? Like, why would you be okay with that?
Because at the end of the day, you know you've got a spot in the Power 2.
But you don't really know that.
But let's just say you do really know that.
Yeah,
Let's say that's been made clear to you.
And so
if
it's
I
hard to
believe
accept.
right now, if they
I
do
know what
that
you're
right
saying,
now,
but it's hard to accept, right? Like, it seems like there's not a lot of like facts that can back that up. It's just like, hey, it's, my buddy told me so.
Okay, let's say North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, Virginia, Clemson, Florida State, Miami. That's 7 teams right there.
right?
All 7 of those teams, I think, have a spot in the Power 2. I believe there's an 8th one out there as well. So I completely understand where you're coming from. I can see your point of view. I just believe there is more at play here than we're seeing.
We're not even talking about Notre Dame. How does this benefit Notre Dame?
Well, Notre Dame at that point, it doesn't benefit Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's not a full member of the ACC.
But they are. For all intents and purposes, they are.
Except they're
for
not.
what matters.
Right. But except they're really not full members of the ACC. So
This is the only thing I would ask you. Why, for 2 years, have Florida State been having lawyers talking about getting away from this dying ACC? All of a sudden, when they maybe start to lose their lawsuits or they see other schools are leaving and they might not be able to backfill the ACC, now out of left field, you have Clemson and Florida State proposing something that is antithetical to everything else that has been set up to that moment. And people are just going to throw their hands up in the air and say, wow, why didn't we get here 2 years ago? Where's
because
the
Florida
money?
State and Clemson thought they had a place to go immediately, and they don't.
Well,
and I
that's
know
obvious.
Florida State and Clemson don't want to hear that, but that's the case.
But why
They
would
don't
the
have a
ACC
place to
bail them
go
out
right
then?
now.
If that's the case, they know they're winning the lawsuit.
Because the ACC needs ESPN to sign on for this extension.
I think they could get that anyway and string
Okay,
along
great.
Clemson
And then you've got
State.
Florida State and Clemson lying out there.
But they're going to
Yeah.
leave one way or the other. They're not there. They're
Yeah,
not
but
gonna
it's
be there
better to
permanent.
have them leave in 2030 where people can make plans and contingencies than to leave in 2026 and completely implode your conference.
The whole big conference theory, the idea that these guys are planning to do this big thing and they need time and all that stuff. The only issue I have with that is right now is where people are playing football games. Right now, the conferences are in dire straits one way or the other, either not enough money or too much money, whatever it is. I cannot see the ACC all of a sudden throwing their hands up in the air and saying, you know what, let's make peace. It'll all be good. You guys sued us, we sued you, but what the hell? We'll just work together for the next 6 years just so other people can get ahead. Florida State cares if Virginia is going to end up in the Big Ten. Why?
I think Virginia cares.
Virginia may care, but that doesn't mean you kowtow to Florida State and Clemson. You lower the gore.
Again, you say it as kowtowing, but it's a way for Florida State and Clemson to save face.
If they lose, if they walk away from this lawsuit, there's nobody in heaven that's going to say, "Oh, that they got what they wanted."
They are, because what did they want? They wanted to get more money out of their conference.
No, what they wanted to leave. They wanted to join.
They wanted to leave
conference
when they believed there was some place to go. When they realized there was no place to go, now they have to save face, and now they're saying we need more money.
If I'm the ACC, sorry, I'm just going to assume. Unless I'm Syracuse, there's no way in hell am I letting them back in. I'm already making money off of them until they leave. The media deal is still in place. ESPN could sign the thing tomorrow and keep the thing going at that rate as long as they continue to have them in the conference. Why do I need to change the gore, which goes to 2036, drop it all the way to 2030? That gives them an automatic out. And oh, by the way, what's it do with the rest of the conference? It blows it up.
Yeah,
the conference ceases to exist 100%. In 2030.
Yep.
Listen, in 2030, we're going to have two conferences in this country, two mega conferences.
Maybe.
The
SEC, have a super league.
Maybe.
It's not a super
league. No, it's not going to be the Big Ten of the SEC. It's going to be a super league. So this whole thing is going to blow up, in my point of view.
The conferences could cease to exist, and everybody
exactly. Like, why would you hedge on going to the Big Ten one day in 10 years? You don't even know if it's going to be around in 10 years.
Yeah. Why have AAU at all? Why not just play football? Miami's a football playing place. All they want to do is suit them up and hit other people. The Super League thing is a myth.
No. I think this is a controlled demolition. It's not an implosion. I think every party gets something out of this that they want. I think it's a win-win for all parties.
All right. Well, we will find out.
I think you're going to see North Carolina State achieve its AAU status. I think you're going to see Florida State and Clemson achieve their AAU status. I think Virginia Tech's going to be given AAU status. I think you're going to see the ranks of the AAU swell once again, just like they did last year for Notre Dame and the other parties. So
the Big Ten ends up a 30 team conference.
24.
Because every school you just mentioned that you're assuming is going to go to the Big Ten. That means
no, I didn't say that. No.
Well, then why get AAU? The SEC could care less about AAU.
Really? Because look at all the expansion candidates the SEC has added outside of Oklahoma. They've all been AAU.
You think they joined because they're AAU? Did they join because they have brands?
No, but I think it makes it a more enticing brand for them. Absolutely, because it's more AAU votes for your university. It helps you get Georgia into the AAU. It helps you get some of these other budding research institutions into the AAU.
So what you're describing is this elitist AAU system is going to basically take over college football. That's what you're proposing.
No, what I'm proposing is relationships and status.
Minnesota does not.
Yeah, Minnesota does care if there's an AAU candidate.
I'm not talking about that. I was going to say Minnesota is not a top 60 football playing brand.
Doesn't need to be a top 60 football playing brand.
But for them to make the most money, for ESPN, ABC, Fox, everybody to make the most money, you're going to want the best brands in there. That's probably 48
for the most multimedia money.
That's what's going to happen.
There are other things within college and academics besides multimedia deals.
Yeah, okay. We are definitely looking at two different futures. We will have to explore that in the future. I think this is a whole shot for Clemson and Florida State, in my opinion. And if ACC bends over for them, I will just be stunned because they'll be signing their own death certificate at that point.
Make sure you bookmark this. Moen was right.
Okay, we'll see. Certainly, it's up to play. What they have till February 1st to make a deal on the ESPN contract. That's one thing. But
I don't see Clemson, Florida State staying in the ACC after all this garbage.
Yeah,
it's such a toxic relationship. Like, good luck with that. Like, seriously, why would you want to agree to go back into bed with those guys if you are UVA and you're UNC? Why?
Well, this report though
like,
is
it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, relationally, you're talking about relationships. You just got sued. Like, really, you're going to try to get remarried here? Like, that's just not going to work.
But the report is they're the ones proposing this, not ACC.
Well, yeah, it's FSU and Clemson, right? But it's like, hey, I'll get back with you and stuff, but just like, give me all the assets and everything. But
right. Well, yeah,
we'll be together forever.
Money and stuff, right. Well, I tell you what. Go ahead, finish what you're gonna say.
Yeah, I get like what Florida State and Clemson are doing, right? Like it's another shot. They feel like they got a little bit more leverage because they put all the leverage on the ACC. But like the ACC is done regardless. Is it done today? Is it done in 2030? It doesn't matter. It's still freaking done, right? It's like when you're planning for the future, if you're Louisville, it's like, do I really want to sit around here and kick the can down the road for 6 or 7 years and then go to the Big 12 in 6 or 7 years after making $5 million, 6, 7, 8 million less for the last 5, 6 years?
That's
like, why would you accept that? That makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a Big 12 landing spot and you don't have a P2 landing spot, why in the world would you accept it?
Again, I think you're taking. You got 8 or 9 schools that I believe in the ACC will have P2 landing spots when
they don't.
Louisville isn't one of them.
Louisville isn't one of them, but you don't need 100% approval for this measure.
But the Gore change requires it.
Again, I don't know that you need to change the Gore.
To go from 20.
Yeah. And if you're Stanford I know you're already getting so underpaid. Like you're really going to take even less. Like seriously, like this is pillaging. This is pillaging. This really is like the milking provision. Like it really is kind of funny because that's exactly what we're talking about. We're joking about
Boston College.
This is the milking provision.
Boston College and Wake Forest are sitting in the corner saying, "Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me." If they did this, if they took this deal, they would be sitting in the corner every year saying, "Give us our check, but please don't hurt us." And I find it hard to believe they would do that.
Take them out of their misery, at least. Like to string them along for 5 years, then send them to their deathbed. Like just finish it if you're done with it, right? Just finish this conference now. This is absolutely ridiculous. If it's dead already, why don't we just eliminate this?
It's dead already, but I think you need time for people to get things in order.
I agree with you there, Mo.
The same reason that the Big 12 paused UConn. They needed time to get things in order.
I think time is the relative piece here, and I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying if I'm Louisville, I don't want to do that time. That's hard time. If I can go to the Big 12 now and be successful right this second, I'm gone. And Virginia
NC
Tech,
State and Louisville are going to end up in the Big 12 conference.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. It's $2 million less, and you get your Gore reduced by 6 years. $2 million less a year. And you get your Gore reduced by 6 years.
And I've got zero stability beyond 2030. I've got someone that sued me within the last couple of months. Why would I stay in that situation?
But 75% of your schools do have stability beyond 2030.
Yeah, but we're talking about a conference that has 17 or 18 members. What you didn't mention Stanford. You didn't mention Cal.
SMU.
I think they'll have
landing
landing
spots
SMU.
Too.
Well, SMU.
Holy cow!
SMU.
Now Cal and Stanford have landing places?
SMU can go play in the Pac-12. They've got a landing
Oh, my goodness, Moen. Everything you're describing.
Moen, this does seem a little Big Ten slanted. I will say that.
More than Big Ten slanted.
It's more than Big Ten slanted.
Big Ten rules the world.
It's a 3-conference slanted. Why would you pay for 4 conferences when you can get everything that's good in 3?
I don't think you do. None of us do. None of us agree that
we all think it's going to 3. I just think it's going to 3 sooner than 2030.
Yeah,
you're saying it's going to happen in 2030, and I'm like, it's happening soon.
Now.
It's happening in the next 2 years.
No, other than UConn joining the Big 12.
Stop it! You quit dropping that on us. Louisville is going to be in the Big 12.
It's happening.
Virginia Tech is going to end up in the Big 12.
I think Virginia Tech ends up in the SEC.
Oh my hell! Oh my hell! Let's just take all of.
I think North Carolina and North Carolina State get split into Power 2 conferences. I think Virginia and Virginia Tech get split into Power 2 conferences.
That is just. All because of this one proposal from Clemson and Florida State, you've come up with this.
Listen. I've had other things that have told me that this is eminently desirable to other parties within the ACC.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure there are probably 6 brands that are going to be on TV the entire time to get all that extra money. I'm sure there are richer that want to stay richer. But it's the bottom half. I just cannot see any of those schools saying signing up just to exist in this conference. We're going to bow our heads, take a belt and just beat us up every year, milk us for our money, and then in 6 years we're going to just go away. Everything will be
I don't
fine.
think they will go away. I think that there's going to be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for those schools.
In my opinion, I think if this was to happen, they'll blow the conference up and there won't be any money at the end of the rainbow. That's what I'm predicting. If I'm North Carolina, why do I want to pay $180 million to leave when I can get 9 or 10 other buddies who supposedly have trips to other big conferences to join out with me? Why would you do that? Why would you keep the ACC alive and pay leave money when you could blow the whole thing up?
You need 14 votes. We don't know that majority rules. Everything I've seen is
right
rule
now.
of law, which is North Carolina, which is 75%.
I can get you 14 votes today.
I don't think you can. You can't get 14 votes to blow up the ACC today.
If you give them 2 stark differences, I think you do. If you give them this stark living your life 6 more years, or right now you can go to another power conference and play football and compete.
You're not getting 14 votes.
Well, time will tell. But if Florida State and Clemson come back to the ACC, it's a poison pill. And there's only going to be about 6 or 7 schools that are going to get anything out of it.
This has been one of the most wild conversations. I'm serious. Like, you know what? Like,
well, honestly, it's been building.
It's a good conversation, but it's like it's wild. I mean, Moen Moen's not just pulling this out of like.
Quick score update. Stanford up 10, Syracuse 3, Illinois down 7-10 on Nebraska, but they are in the red zone.
Come on, Nebraska, where are you? I need how many points out of
what's
Nebraska?
the score for Nebraska?
9.5 points I need. Dang it.
Wait, hold on a
10
second.
Nebraska, 7 Illinois. Illinois is driving. They're in the red zone. Nebraska 11.
Nebraska's screwing it up, man. That's going to be
Stupid
another
Nebraska.
bad weekend.
Come on.
Bert.
That's broken.
GBR. What's that GBR stuff that we have on early in the show?
All right. We need to close this out. Right, Moen? 2 hours. We're on the 2-hour limit.
Yeah, we're at.
Right?
We're on the 2-hour limit, but if you want to keep arguing, we can keep arguing.
Well, no, I think that's honestly,
this
is the best show we've had in months. Can I just say that? I love this stuff. That's why I got into this. Is I didn't want to do a show with people I agreed with, right, Ute? First conversation I had was you. I want somebody that disagrees with me. I want somebody that's going to confront me and tell me I'm wrong. So that's why we're here. Just so everybody knows, I won't be here next week. You'll just have Moen and Ute without me. Maybe we'll get one of the other guys to jump on. Moen, any last words? You got 20 seconds.
Controlled demolition.
You need to put that on Twitter. Okay, start it now.
It got a bunch of likes. It's got like 50-some likes.
All right, I'll start using it. Controlled demolition. Ute.
Deathbed by 2026.
Yeah, if we're making predictions tonight, I think I don't know. This is just so crazy. I think the ACC is in real trouble, and I don't think Louisville sticks around if the Gore blows up. No. That's what I will say. If the Gore rotates down to 2030, it means they made an adjustment to it, a material change, and they leave. Anyway, we will find out. Time will tell. All I know for sure is that we will find out one way or the other, right, guys?
That's right.
Okay.
UConn in 2026.
No, stop it. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.